It's an absolutely insane day in the world of Magic the Gathering. There has just been a massive mega leak of upcoming cards from Edge of Eternities. Wizards of the Coast might be considering calling in the Pinkertons on this one.
Magic.
I am a wizard!
History.
I'm an old wizard!
The Magic Historian.
My bones hurt. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a wondrous installment of Mega Magic News. Green screen is still not here. I'm hoping it'll show up in time for the next video. So once again, I shall be your green screen. And I'm going to take a moment to say thank you to everybody for coming by because we recently just got over 60,000 subscribers on this channel, and I'm going to be doing a 60,000 subscriber celebration live stream sometime soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, let us turn to the crazy news of the day. This is all unfolded within the last 24 hours. So I'm going to give you some starting details. We'll look at the spoilers and then I'll fill in the rest of the story for you. But it starts like this. Take a look at this image. Some random individual posted this on Facebook in a private group going, yo, check it. I've got a box of Edge of Eternities. In fact, I have more boxes of Edge of Eternities that I'm selling. And you look at it and go, okay, so this guy's already got his hands on booster boxes, and he's even got a particular card shown there saying, here's one of the cards from the pack. I'm only showing this card. I know some of you guys are saying, hey, prove that what you have is legitimate by showing us something we haven't seen, but I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So that gets posted and everybody starts going nuts trying to figure out what's going on. And then for probably about 12 hours, there was complete radio silence. And then all of a sudden, this massive blast of spoilers, just a huge stack of cards showed up. So what we're going to do now is take a look at that stack of cards, and then we'll talk about the breakdown of this leak and the blowback and what Wizards of the Coast is most likely to do about it. Okay, so spoilers now. Here, my friends, is the tantalizing pile of Edge of Eternities. Some of the cards give a ton of information, some give a tiny bit of information. Up at the top, we've got Virulent Silencer, which is a 3-cost artifact creature. There's another part of the leak that actually shows the power and toughness roughly, so it looks like this is a 2/3. And it says, whenever a non-artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. So poison counters are back, and in a big way, because understand that silencer is not legendary, which means you can have multiples of these out. You have 2 of them out. Now every artifact creature that connects gives 4 poison tokens, or counters, I should say. Now, obviously, there's the fact that you can't like run this crazy out into the field by using tokens, but still, that is some incredible poison power. I remember when poison started out in Magic way back in the day with Marsh Vipers, where you'd pay 4 mana for a 1/2, and if it managed to get through, then your opponent got 2 poison counters, and that was it. And this is a 3-cost 2/3 that makes all of your artifact dudes into poison monsters. It genuinely feels like something you could slap into an artifact creature deck that doesn't have any concept of poison at all and just goes boom. Now my guys are all about poison, right? Obviously, it's not as powerful as Infect because it's not going to shrink down creatures, but that is a banger uncommon. And now we will start to move downwards here. We've got Dual Sun Technique. Can't really see anything on that card except for one word: has. But I feel like I can easily predict what that card actually is. 1 white and 1 for an enchant creature, and it says enchanted creature has double strike. It's literally called Dual Sun Technique. It literally shows a guy dual wielding, and giving double strike is a normal thing to do in Magic the Gathering. It might actually even give more than just double strike, because the power level has gone along to the point where I thought about it and went, wait, 2 mana to enchant a creature just with double strike might actually not be powerful enough for the current world that Magic the Gathering is in, right? Then we've got the Biomechan Engineer, which is this gold guy right here. This is the full, clearest view you're going to get out of any card in this league. So, a blue and a green for a 2/2. When this creature enters, create a lander token. So this set is introducing new mechanics, new token types. Lander token works like this. It's an artifact token that says 2 tap, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. That is a super powerful ability, but at the same time, just limited to basic lands, right? So at the beginning, it'll be stronger if you can crank a bunch of those out and go and grab lands. Ultimately, it does feel green and blue because green is a land grabbing color, blue is an artifact generating color, put them together. All right. The lander concept, I'm not sure what they're trying to evoke with that. I don't know if they're going for some kind of like alien vehicle, or if they're trying to actually make you think of, for example, like the moon lander or the Mars lander. Because if you think about it conceptually, a lander is something that lands on a planet or a moon or whatever, and this is getting you a land, and the way they're doing Edge of Eternities is lands are represented by planets. So that's supposed to be the overall flavor concept. And I do have to admit, as a longtime Magic player who's really into high fantasy, it is very jarring to be discussing moonlanders and stuff in regards to Magic. But that's where we are. So what are you going to do, right? So on top of making a lander token, 2 mana, 2/2 that makes a lander token, but also it says it looks like it's 5 mana, draw 2 cards, and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. That activation cost might be a little bit higher. I can't 100% make out all of the details on that, right? But those are the main chunk cards. We do have dribs and drabs, some information. If you look down here at the bottom, you can see that this is some kind of station artifact spaceship, and it is a 5/6 that you need 10 power to station with. If you haven't seen station cards yet, it basically works similarly to crewing, where you tap creatures, but instead of going, oh, I've got crew 4, I have to tap 4 powers worth of creatures, you can tap any amount of powers worth of creatures, and then you put counters on the spaceship. Once it has 10 counters, it's permanently up and running as a creature. So it's like a vehicle that crews permanently, but requires more overall to crew it, right? So on one hand, it's advantageous because, yo, check it out. I can just build up my counters. I got my spaceship. I'm all good. It's a creature all the time. But on the other hand, when you do have vehicles and they switch back into non-creature, they're safer from more removal. So it is a mixed bag. Now, over on the other side of the engineer, you can see we've got some kind of insect druid with a landfall ability that says whenever a land you control enters, gain a life. That's all we know about that one. But a really fascinating little bit of extra information is on this card right here, where it's Caesarian Void Bringer, Caesarian Void Walker, Void Boiler, something like that. The interesting thing on this card is right down here, Warp, 1 black. So it only says Warp 1 black, hand for its, the beginning may cast it, right? So this to me is an ability that's going to say 1 black, because this is Warp, right? So for 1 black for this creature, you put it into exile. Then at the beginning of your combat, you can pay its casting cost. If you do put it into play, it has haste and it can attack this turn, exile it at end of turn. So I think that how this is going to work is going to be something along the lines of the what was the name of that ability? Why can't I think of it right now? There's a red ability where you can put a creature straight into play and it swings in and then bounces back to your hand at the end of the turn. For some reason, the name of it is eluding me, but this feels to me like a variation on that. Instead of the card coming from your hand and bouncing back to your hand, the card goes into exile and comes back from exile to represent either teleportation technology like Beam Me Up Scotty, or beings that can literally move through dimensions, move through some kind of warp shifting, right? So ultimately, it is a very interesting concept. And we actually have 2 images of spoilers that will add a little bit more information in regards to warp. So let's take a look at the second image now. So this doesn't have as many cards, but they are more clear and provide more information, right? So up here, we've got the Uthros Scan Ship, 1 blue and 3. It is a 4/4 spacecraft, so it might be hard to see, but you have to get 8+ counters on it, and then it gets flying, okay? So It has, when it enters, draw 2 cards and discard a card, and station. So this is just your standard blue come into play, draw you some stuff, you pitch a card, but then after you've tapped enough creatures, then you got yourself a 4/4 flyer. You do have to tap 8 powers worth of creatures, so I really don't know where this falls on the power scale. My gut says that it's not that strong because you do have to tap 8 powers worth of creatures, but at the same time, it might be easier to do than you think. Station can only be on sorcery speed though, so you can't like have a bunch of dudes before my turn tap them. Maybe they'll have some card in the set that lets you station at instant speed. That wouldn't surprise me. Anyways, we've got Close Encounters of the Cardboard kind up there in the corner. 1 green and 1 instant. As an additional cost to cast it, choose a creature you control or a warped creature card you own in exile. So that would be the card we just saw over on the other page. That creature has warp. So this is a way to use a fight spell, this isn't really a fight spell because fight spells mean your guy gets to hit my guy back, right? But this is a bite spell where you get to hit your opponent's guy. Now, most of the time, you can't play bite spells unless you have a creature out to do the biting. But in this case, you can literally have one pop out of the warp, chomp down on you, and disappear. That's pretty wild, right? So it deals damage equal to the power of the chosen creature or card to target creature. Pretty straightforward green bite spell. And obviously they tied it into the whole alien nature with Close Encounters of the Cardboard kind, right? Down here we have some kind of instant, most likely. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. If its mana cost was 2 or less, create a lander token, right? And you can tell it's a lander token because it says it's an artifact with 2 and tap, search your library for on battlefield. So there's just enough clues in there for you to be able to figure out, wait a minute, this makes a lander token. And I just realized actually that this is a little, hold on, maybe we can slide this up a bit. So there we go. Okay. So I was going to say, remember when I told you could see that the 2/3 was the power and toughness of the silencer? I was like, wait, why can't you see that here? So this is the silencer we saw on the first page. And then the other card we have is the Rescue Skiff, which is 1 white and 5. When it enters, return target creature or enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it's got station 10 flying. So you got to station 10 creatures with it, or 10 power worth of creatures to turn it into a creature. We don't know its power and toughness. And this is, I guess, alien resurrection technology. The same stuff they used on Xavier in the X-Men cartoon. Don't worry, kids. Don't be sad. He's not dead, but he does have to go to another world forever. So it's almost the same difference. Anyways, that covers all of the leaks. So now let me explain to you the insanity of these leaks. Absolute craziness, right? Looking at all the stuff that's in there now. Some of the more astute amongst you might have noticed something. All the cards that are there all happen to be uncommons. Literally every single card. But when we saw the previous image, the card that was being spoiled was a rare or mythic rare. So where are all the rares? Where are the mythics? What's going on with this? Well, here's the craziest part. That booster box post that got put up there has nothing to do with this leak. So we literally got a picture where there's an Edge of Eternities box that may be 100% faked. It might be real. It might be fake, right? Because at this point, companies are making skis bags are making fake boxes of Magic the Gathering. This is something that we have already seen with things like Foundations, where they're straight out faking the entirety of it. The booster wrappings, we've entered into a new insane realm of Magic fakery, right? So it's not 100% clear right now, actually, whether those Edge of Eternity boxes that we've seen are actually the real deal or not. The spoilers that we saw, those are real. But here's the thing. Those come from a Final Fantasy box. So you might have been thinking to yourself, wait a minute. Edge of Eternity's going out. Wizards of the Coast is going to call out the Pinkertons and send them out. Go get them, boys! But at the end of the day, the Pinkertons have been sent out once in recent memory, and that was when, and this is what everybody seems to forget, that was when a future set got released an extra set out. And by that I mean, let's say, well, actually I'll just use the real example. The next set that's coming is March of the Machines. After that is March of the Machines Aftermath. But right now I get March of the Machines Aftermath. That means I have not the next set, but the set coming after that. So as far as I understand, Wizards has never sent out the Pinkertons after anybody who has the next product down the line. But it could turn out, I mean, they won't send the Pinkertons out to reclaim the products. That doesn't mean they don't investigate product line issues. Let's be real. Wizards of the Coast cranks out products at such an insane pace that it's totally very, very plausible that a bit of Edge of Eternities could have got mixed in somewhere and got shipped out early and got in somebody's hand. We literally saw it with March of the Machine Aftermath before March of the Machine had even come out. So if that can happen with a set further down the line, obviously this can happen. But when it comes to the box stuff, for now, that is unproven, whether it's even legitimate. But these spoilers that we've seen straight up came out of a Final Fantasy box, and there's precedence for this. This is not the first time that we have seen batches of leaks like this, and actually even like batches of entire uncommons. The most recent time that comes to memory for me was when Modern Horizons 3, it was Modern Horizons 3 spoilers, right? They just started showing up, or was it Modern Horizons 2? One of the two most recent Modern Horizons. Wizards does a billion sets. So even as a historian, it can be somewhat difficult to keep up with. But either way, what's going on is Wizards of the Coast will not be sending out the Pinkertons for this situation. There's absolutely no way. We've already seen previous sets have situations where all the uncommons, or maybe not all the uncommons, but a good number of uncommons somehow make it into, like, it's the previous set. Basically, whatever the next set is, you get it this way. Some people think from a conspiracy standpoint, and they go, oh, this Wizards of the Coast getting free marketing, bro. You know what I mean? Like, we're all just hyped about it. What's going on? This is just Wizards of the Coast playing the super slick game of getting us hyped. But at the end of the day, I absolutely believe it's production issues, right? Look at Tarkir. Look at how abysmally printed Tarkir was. The ink bleeding. Actually, we have a number of those issues with Final Fantasy, but luckily for Wizards, those issues aren't as pronounced. But regardless, if they can't print their cards to a reasonable standard, what makes you think that something as simple as uncommons from a previous set making it into like a box are a stretch? Do you know what? Uncommons from the next set, I should say, right? Because they're constantly working their printer presses, and the stuff is constantly coming down the line. So it's funny that the actual official leak that we have there's nothing Wizards can do about it. Wizards can't send anybody out. They can't chase anybody because they screwed up. They made the product faulty in the first place. And I imagine as a Final Fantasy player, you might actually be really frustrated getting a bunch of Edge of Eternities. First of all, you might not even care about the space theme, right? Secondly, you might be a huge Final Fantasy fanboy. Thirdly, Final Fantasy boxes are expensive. They have a higher casting cost. They have a higher monetary cost because of Wizards licensing fees, right? So you have a situation where you paid for this hype product, which is difficult to acquire right now, and you got a whole stack of the uncommon. So I don't 100% know whether these ended up in the hands of a super Magic fan who was super excited to get them, or they ended up in the hands of just a confused Final Fantasy fan. But the fact that the cards that we looked at, if you saw, they were just thrown into a pile. This isn't some Magic player going, all right, let me set these all out and make them look all nice and show everybody, right? Like, so I don't know, man. I find it hilarious considering that Wizards of the Coast already has so many problems, and now they're just going, you know what, let's accidentally leak a bunch of stuff and make the Final Fantasy product lesser at the same time. But I do have to say, I'm genuinely curious about some of the stuff they're doing with this. The Lander tokens, whatever. Sure, if you ignore the fact that they're spaceship stuff, it is some good resource grabbing for your lands. It's not a bad token, but ultimately doesn't get me that hyped. Warp, however, is a super exciting. Is Rush the ability I was thinking of earlier and couldn't remember? I think it might be Rush. But either way, Warp is genuinely interesting. I'm curious to see what that's going to be. The fact that the creatures get exiled and the fact that cards care about the exiled warped cards is a little bit of fun design space that takes something we already know and moves it a little sideways. But that's everything that I had to talk about today. So a big thank you to my patrons for supporting my channel. I will be live today over on my live stream channel. There's a bunch of fun stuff up there archived as well if you want to go and check out Final Fantasy Commander deck openings or talking about movies, anime, whatever. I got a lot of stuff going on over on that channel, having a good time. So I will leave a link to that down in the pinned comment. And actually, speaking of links, just to let you guys know in case you hadn't already heard, Wonders of the First is going to be at Gen Con at the end of July with a Learn to Play event. So you know what I'm going to do? I'll toss the link if you want to sign up for that down there too, because you actually get to meet Brian Tinsman, who is somebody who worked on designing Magic sets for a number of years and is also a friend of mine. So he's going to be there teaching people how to play, and I figured it would be fun to mention that here at the end of the video. So thanks for coming by, everybody. I'll see you for the next one where I'm not green anymore.